We officially have about 20 games left in the Major League Baseball regular season. Less than 20 games, really, and things are rolling. Welcome to Flippin' Bats, my friends, where we got a lot to talk about. We got the best pitching performance of the season with about 20 games left to go. We finally got it over the weekend. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was absolutely incredible. We're going to talk about his performance and how it didn't exactly turn out the way the Dodgers were hoping. And Juan Soto has thrown himself smack dab into the middle of the NL MVP conversation. So we're going to have that. What does the NL MVP look like? Should Juan Soto win the award after the way he started the year and where he is currently? Is Juan Soto going to win NL MVP? We last week did top 5 AL teams that I think can win the World Series. So we're going to do top 5 NL teams that I think can win the World Series. It's Monday, which means power rankings. We'll do a FanDuel segment as well. We're going to talk about the Mets, because the Mets, I think, deserve a lot of credit. It's been a very Mets-like year to this point. And what I mean by that is, like, they have a lot of talent. They've been very good. Then they go make a lot of big trades to really bolster their bullpen, and it has just backfired big time. And then they just went on a nosedive and weren't a very good baseball team, but they are playing better right now. And I think they and the front office deserve a ton of credit for how they have handled things lately. So we're going to talk about that in a little while as well. But remember, Flippin' Bats is presented by FanDuel. Bet baseball with us all season long on America's #1 sportsbook. Baseball is wild right now. Every division. You look across the American League. Who wants to win? Who wants to win their division? The Tigers in the Central are going to win the division, but it's only because they had a massive, massive lead and still do. They're not playing great baseball. They lost to the White Sox over the weekend. The Blue Jays in the AL East have both teams creeping back up on them, and the Yankees and the Red Sox. Good Lord, the Astros in the AL West just don't want to win it. The Mariners behind them don't want to win it. It's just been a mess. Who wants to win? NL West, the Dodgers and the Padres just seemingly can't win baseball games besides the last couple days they finally started winning again, but both of them just blowing opportunities to take the lead in the division. The Dodgers keep holding on to it, but man, who wants to win that division? Over the weekend, Saturday, we got the best pitching performance all season long, and the Dodgers end up not winning that game. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was 1 out away from a no-hitter. 1 out away. Final at bat, 8 2/3, 0 hits. Jackson Holliday comes up and hits a homer. A home run to end the no-hit bid, which is tough. Departs the game 3-1, 1 out away from a victory. Best performance on the mound all year in 2025. And the Dodgers blew it. I would say I couldn't believe it, but I can. I've watched it all year long with my brother with the Giants. It happened again in his last start. Departed 2-0, goes into the final inning, 2-0. Dude, Ryan Walker blows it. Game over. It's been tough watching teams try and close out games lately. But Yamamoto was fantastic. 10 strikeouts, 112 pitches, 7th Dodgers pitcher in history with a 1-out performance with 10-plus strikeouts and at least 8 2/3 innings pitched. 7th Dodgers pitcher in history. That's quite the history. Yamamoto is, I'm going to say, quietly one of Major League Baseball's greatest pitchers. And why I say quietly is because I think when we talk about the game's great pitchers, Yamamoto is mentioned a tick below the Tarek Skubals, Paul Skeens. Now, I think everyone's a tick below those guys. But even this next bit of a tier of like Zach Wheeler, Chris Sale when he hasn't been injured over the last couple of years, he's sort of mentioned a little bit below that tier. And I think Yamamoto deserves a ton of credit since he's come into the big leagues. Let's not forget, this is year 2 in Major League Baseball. His transition from NPB to Major League Baseball has been stellar. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is the first Dodgers pitcher to lose a no-hit bid with 2 outs in the ninth since Dazzy Vance in 1923, when the club was known as the Brooklyn Robins. That's how dominant Yamamoto was. So I think he deserves a ton of credit, and I think he deserves his love and his flowers. Since 2024, since Yoshinobu Yamamoto entered the league, he is 5th in ERA among starting pitchers with a minimum of 240 innings pitched. He's one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball since the moment he entered the league. He's 5th behind Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Chris Sale, Zach Wheeler, and then there's Yamamoto. That's incredible. That's how good he's been. So, look, I know everyone thinks Yamamoto is a really good pitcher, but we need to get out of that really good pitcher conversation. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is one of the game's greats, and he's continued to pitch like that all year long. He pitched like it over the weekend, one pitch away from throwing his first career no-hitter. Unfortunately, it ended about as bad as it possibly could have. He gave up a homer. He comes out of the game. The bullpen blows it. The Dodgers lose, and it's just like, what just happened? But what I want to make sure we all remember happened is that Yoshinobu Yamamoto dominated. He deserves a lot of credit. I don't want the story to be about the Dodgers blowing that game, because Yamamoto was fantastic. Good on him. And then the very next day, the Dodgers finally end their losing streak. Shohei comes out, leads off with a homer. He starts the game going 2 for 2 with 2 homers, and then walked 3 straight time. First Dodgers player to do that since 1952. 2 homers and 3 walks in a game. Shohei put the team on his back and said, now we go. Now it's time to go. Hit his 48th homer of the season on Sunday. And still right there when it comes to the NL MVP. But that is a conversation that I wanted to have. It was NL MVP. Juan Soto has forced this conversation to happen. Juan Soto has forced everyone to put his name in the NL MVP conversation. Juan Soto has thrown himself smack dab in the middle of the NL MVP conversation. What he has done, now let's not forget, this guy was not an all-star this year. Was he the biggest snub? I think so. But it's because he wasn't putting up his usual numbers. Juan Soto was not an all-star this year. And now he's on pace to do something that no New York Met has ever done, which is 40 homers and 30 stolen bases. And he's on pace to do something that's only been done a couple of times in history and hasn't been done since Jeff Bagwell in 99 and Barry Bonds in 97, which is 40 homers, 30 stolen bases, 100 runs scored, 100 RBIs, and 100 walks in the same season. That stat line has only been done a couple of times and has not been done this century. Juan Soto, as we speak, has an on-base percentage over 400. He's got 5 homers in his last 5 games. Offensively, he's absolutely killing it. But one thing I did want to mention and give him a lot of credit for is one of those stat lines that I just mentioned, and it's the 30 stolen bases. He's going to steal 30 bases this year. He's at 29. He's going to get to 30. Speed Demon Juan Soto has arrived in 2025. Well, not really, because he's in the 15th percentile in sprint speed in Major League Baseball. And this is why I think he deserves a ton of credit. He didn't all of a sudden just become this freaky fast player to pair with his all-time offensive prowess. Where he deserves a ton of credit is that he has been exceptional. Reading pitchers, doing his scouting before games, and getting incredible jumps. I think he gives a lot of credit to their first base coach, Anton Richardson, who was really good at stealing bases in the big leagues himself. But we're not talking about a guy that's just offense, and he's really good at it and nothing else. I know everybody likes to hate on him for his defense and how slow he is. He's going to steal 30 bases this year. That's not a number to bat an eye at. His career high before this year was 12. He's going to steal over 30 bases this year. It's not because he got fast. It's because he is in the video room every day before the game with his first base coach looking for tells from a pitcher. And where I think this is really interesting, and where, again, I will continue to say he deserves a ton of credit, is because he's just decided this year that, look, I'm going to be a force on the bases. I might not be the fastest guy, but when you really dive in, the majority of pitchers are going to have a tell. And that's what he's going off of. If a pitcher doesn't have a tell, he's not stealing bases. He's not going to steal it with speed. He's going to steal it with all the research he's doing behind the scenes. So what that means is a lot of pitchers have a tell. They show you in a way when they are going to the plate and when they are about to pick over. So you dive in before the game, and let's say there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound. Maybe he lifts his head up first when he's going to pick over. When he lifts his leg, he's also lifting his head up. That means he's coming over. If he doesn't do that, if his head or chin stays down, he's going to the plate. If it's a righty, they have a tell when they're coming to pick over as well. Maybe they buckle their front knee, which is technically a balk move, but people do it all the time. Buckle their front knee when they come over. Maybe the same way that offensive play, there's a million different tells. The same way that guys in the dugout or hitters pick up something that a pitcher is doing when he's tipping his pitches, they do the same thing when they're picking over or going to the plate when a runner's on first base. So Juan Soto's in the video room before games, the night before, doing a ton of research, picking up on those pitchers' tells with runners on base, and he's saying, okay, this guy has one. I'm going to go here. I am going to run. And what everyone on this team is saying that is doing this, with a lot of credit to Richardson, is it's not a gamble. It's essentially a quote that I saw from Jared Young was, it's essentially like counting cards in a casino. It doesn't mean I'm going to win 100% of the time, but it's not a 50-50 gamble. I know what's happening. I've done my research. The pitcher does this. If this happens, I'm going to go. Am I going to make it to second base safely 100% of the time? No, but I feel really good about my chances. And entering this new month, we're about a week in, but I haven't looked up the stats recently, but I think Juan Soto's only been caught stealing one time. He's got 29 stolen bases and only been caught once. They're not gambling. It's not a 50-50. I'm 15th percentile in sprint speed. I'm going here. No, he's doing his research. He's getting good jumps. And when I say good jumps, I mean like sometimes he's halfway to second base when the pitcher releases the ball. There are just specific pitchers that don't like pitching over once they get to a certain spot in their coming set. I was the same way. Once I came set and was set for a couple of seconds, if I was going to pick, I always did it early. Look, I know it's not the way to go, but pitchers have tells, and Juan Soto's picking up on them, and he deserves a ton of credit for being able to do that. So we're talking about a guy with a historic stat line that's only been done a couple times in an entire career, and I think Juan Soto is absolutely in this MVP conversation right now, and I think Juan Soto absolutely wins Most Valuable Player if Shohei Ohtani wasn't playing baseball. Any other time, Juan Soto is absolutely the NL MVP. But not when Shohei Ohtani exists. And you could say, and before you start saying, wait a second, is it just because Shohei pitches and hits? Like, I get he's back on the mound, but he's not going like 7-8 innings and dominating. Well, he is back on the mound. He is throwing well. And it's not just because he's pitching as well. Juan Soto is now third in offensive value in the National League, just behind Schwarber. I mean, he has skyrocketed to the top of this list. Kyle Schwarber is at 39.6 in offensive value, and Juan Soto is at 39.2. They are both well behind the leader in the NL in offensive value, and that is Shohei Ohtani at 51. When it just comes to offensive value, there is nobody in the National League close to Shohei Ohtani. He is also pitching, starting every 6 days or so, once a week, going out there, throwing well over 100 miles an hour. No starting pitcher has thrown over 100 more times this year than Shohei Ohtani. His numbers are good. His ERA is finally coming down. His advanced analytics are fantastic. He's continuing to do what Shohei Ohtani does best. This year, This is a statistic of the most home runs by an MLB player in a season where he also pitched at least 3 games. 2025, Shohei Ohtani sitting at 48 home runs. 2021, Shohei Ohtani, 46. 2023, Shohei Ohtani, 44. 2022, Shohei Ohtani, 1919, Babe Ruth at 29 homers, and 2018, Shohei Ohtani at 22 homers. The only way Shohei Ohtani doesn't win the Most Valuable Player award for the 3rd time in a row and the 4th in his career is if voter fatigue exists. This is the greatest player we've ever seen. Shohei Ohtani is going to unanimously win the MVP award, and he should. Juan Soto's having an incredible year, and I really wanted to talk about him because he didn't make the All-Star game. He signed for almost $1 billion. Everybody loves to hate on him, or everybody loves for some reason. We just live in a hateful world. This guy signs for almost $1 billion. He goes to the Mets, and people just hate on him. That's not a player worth all the money. Yeah, it is. Also, it ain't your money. Who are you to say a guy's not worth the money? You don't know what it makes for an organization. If you're just looking at what numbers he brings on the field, you're looking at the conversation all wrong. It's what that player brings to an organization as well. The Dodgers paid Shohei, or over time going to pay Shohei $700 million, and I guarantee you it's already worth it in their mind. World Series in year 1, all the Japanese advertisements that they have brought into the organization. It's not just about the numbers on the field. Juan Soto has done wonders for the New York Mets, but his numbers on the field scream MVP. He's been fantastic. So it's not just because Shohei pitches and hits. It's because Shohei's offensive value is elite. He pitches really well as well. What he does for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, Shohei's the unanimous MVP, but Juan Soto absolutely is in that conversation. And I do now think he finishes second with everything, all the stolen bases, and he does play defense. Schwarber doesn't play a ton of defense, DHs a lot. Juan Soto, been playing really well. Let's keep talking about the Mets for a second, because this is something I was thinking about over the weekend when I watched what they were doing with their starting pitching rotation. Leaving at number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are playing pretty bad baseball right now. They got swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates early last week, and then they lost the weekend series to the Baltimore Orioles. It's been a bad stretch. They are grasping at straws, holding on to the NL West because the Padres haven't been playing great either. But this isn't a how are we playing right now sort of conversation. This is when it comes to the playoffs. And the Dodgers are going to be favored to win the World Series. I don't necessarily care about that. This is my list. This is my thoughts. I wouldn't have the Brewers at 4 if it was where are these teams going to be ranked. The Brewers are going to be ranked far higher than 4. But the Dodgers are going to be the favorite to win, and it's because, look, it's not just because they won last year. It's because starting rotation-wise, the conversation isn't what do they do with their rotation for how do you start the games. It's what do you do with the rotation and who do you bump out? They have 5 legitimate starters for 4 playoff spots. You have studs everywhere you look. Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Ohtani. Kershaw's been pretty good. And then obviously the offense is fantastic. The back end of the bullpen is another worry and concern. So they have their weaknesses as well. But with that rotation and with Zach Wheeler being out, I had to put the Dodgers here at number 1. They're, of course, a team that can win the World Series in the National League. I get why they're the favorites. Anything can happen in the postseason. I don't think the gap is that wide between them and the Phillies and the Padres. Any one of those 3 teams, I think, can absolutely represent the NL in the World Series. But I'm going to go with the Dodgers at 1 just because of the MVPs in that lineup. They have the greatest player of all time in Shohei Ohtani. They have a nasty rotation. They have good arms in the back end of the bullpen, which I think play in the playoffs. They haven't exactly figured it out all year long, but they have dominant, nasty stuff in the back end of the bullpen. And I think they'll step up in October. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But my top 5 teams that can win the World Series, at 5 is the Mets, 4 is the Brewers, 3 is the Padres, 2 is the Phillies, and 1 is the Dodgers.